so. Welcome everyone to the Monday night, November 22nd City Council meeting. If we could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Terry McClung.
I'm here.
Melissa Green.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Yeah.
Nick Roberts.
Here.
Bill Ott.
Here.
Autumn Slane.
Here.
We have 6.
All right. We can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's good.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Any additions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I get a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes, November 8th, 2021.
I'll second.
All right. Ms. Green made the motion, Ms. Slane second. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes for November the 8th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, under the commission headlines, we got an application in your packet from a young lady named Megan Morris for the Planning Commission. So she can bring her back up at the next meeting. And that's the only applicant we have at this point for any of the commissions. We still have vacancies for the hospital, the parks, CAPC. So if you're interested in all those, please come by and submit an application. That brings us to public comments.
Ferguson Stewart, 7 Harvey Road. I'm here saying thank you for the veteran community for letting us have our Veteran Day Parade. It was a wonderful event. We had the sheriff and we had our congressman as our grand marshals. So I wanted to thank you for allowing us to have the first walking parade, and I think it's been about 2 years. But thank you, city council members, and welcome Nick to the council, and thank you for all you do. And since we got Thanksgiving coming up, I'm saying thank you. So thank you all for your time and your dedication to making the city a better place. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Ferguson. That's nice.
Good evening, Pat Matsoukas, 5 Mountain Street. A couple of quick notes. The roundabout, I don't get it. I just don't get it, and I think many people in town don't get it, don't want it. And I hope we have a lot of discussion about it before you pass a resolution. Not only, I could see it being a roundabout if that area were flat, but we have to address the lean, the water, the runoff, the rain, trucks, shifting loads. There's a lot of things to consider here. I would not jump into this roundabout. If you've gone on roundabouts that they now have in Fayetteville, along Haverson and all these great roads, they're flat, they have an ability. We have an inordinate amount of delivery traffic all at the same time hitting this. I think it's a really bad idea, especially since we don't have a city planner. We have no way to coordinate this plan, you guys. The kids still don't have a sidewalk to the highway. Half a town is missing a sidewalk. We have nobody in charge to help us put all these pieces together. And this roundabout is just one more piece of nothingness to me. So I hope you really consider this. I also am going to bring this up. 3 years ago, I came in here and said, could the police on their nights, when the policemen are working downtown on a slow night, could they take the number off the pole where there's no lights and turn it in? Half of downtown has no street lights. I can't believe y'all don't notice it. I see it, and I don't even go out half the time. Number 3, Mountain Street, you know that accident that happened recently. It was a bad accident, however you look at it. But having said this, The day that the accident happened, Saturday night, Sunday morning, they were there fixing the pole. They left the telephone wire, which I now know is a telephone wire. I didn't know at the time, but I now know it's a telephone wire. They had lowered it a bunch of feet. I went out, I called the police. The lady came, she said, yeah, it looks low to me too. Not only was the wire low, but there's a cable hanging off of it that if I wanted to walk over, I could just yank on, and it would probably pull the phone wire down. So that was Sunday. Monday, I called Public Works. Tuesday, I called Public Works. Wednesday, I called Public Works. I called SWEPCO. I had to leave town due to a family death. I was gone. I am now back in town. I come home. I see it. It is still there. I find out it's AT&T, so now I have to call AT&T, which I did. And you know, I don't want to be this person. I want the city to be this person. I want you who drive up that road 20 times a day to say, why is this stupid thing hanging here? Why haven't they dealt with this? That's your job, not mine. And parks. I brought this up earlier, and I mean it. I think unless Parks puts together a master plan that's passed by the citizens of this town for Lake Leatherwood, they should have their tax brought on the next ballot, whether or not we want to continue to support them. We have an agreement. You do this, we do this. And they're not doing it. Thanks. I got you.
Any other comments from the public? All right. That brings us up to our first item on unfinished business, the ordinance 2315 for the third reading for the Sound Generation Improved Music Festival. Get a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss ordinance number 2315.
Second. Second. All right, any comments, anybody? All right, get a motion to approve the ordinance then, third reading?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2315,
Suspend.
to suspend the rules and approve motion, ordinance, read.
By
Okay.
title only.
By title only, ordinance number 2315 on its third reading.
Thank you.
All right, got a motion by Ms. Green. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, Mr. Myers seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
6-0. Ordinance number 2315, an ordinance amending Title 7 of the Eureka Springs, Arkansas Municipal Code regarding sound generation in commercial zones.
I get a motion to approve ordinance number 2315 for its third and final reading.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2315 on its third and final reading.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Green, second by Mr. Myers. Further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Whoops, do we need a,
Yes.
okay, sorry, we're going to have roll call.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
6-0. Thank you.
All right, so moved. All right, that brings us up to our new business. We got a resolution to expend COVID funds for employees.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
Second. Mr. Clark, would you like to discuss this a little bit for the council? And
Well, when we heard that we might get some COVID funds before we knew what we were going to get on this first release and everything, we have a lot of employees that worked really hard through all of this and stayed with the city. And as we've discussed before, I didn't know whether we were going to be able to keep everybody employed or not. But anyway, it seemed like that it would be prudent to maybe use some of the funds to help our employees that were involved with the COVID situation and on all fronts. for 2020, or part of 2020. So when it finally came down to the fact that we did get about $218,000 on this first release of funds, and then I discussed it with the mayor, and he said, see if you can work up a formula. And so I have worked with this for months now, trying to get a formula using every approach just about that I could think of, and finally decided that probably the best thing to do was all full-time city employees that worked from April 1st through December 31st, 2020, with just regular hours, no overtime hours are included, no vacation time hours are included, or anything, and there are no other special items. And so we got all of those hours that they worked from April 1st through December 31st, just regular hours. And of course, if you've keep up with the news, there are several other counties and cities in the state that are doing a similar type thing. Most of them have somewhat a different approach, but they're basically rewarding employees. And so what we essentially came up with, taking those regular hours, and it's reflected in that resolution, the employees that worked during that period of time that are still here and still employed, rewarding them $1.50 per hour worked for that period of time, April 1st through December 31st. And that comes up to $85,516 of direct, well, that's the gross pay. Of course, there'll be things, if you all pass this, there are things that will be withheld, of course, regular payroll taxes and so forth. This is not subject to the retirement matching or any things like that. But Social Security, Medicare, state income tax withholding, and federal income tax withholding will be taken out, and of course the city will match with the 7.65% of Medicare and Social Security that we are required to match of the employee. So that will be $85,516.07 plus that 7.65%, which is, 10% would be $8,500. So you can kind of do the math there roughly. Yes, sir, Mr. McClung.
Well, I want to go ahead and make a motion that we assign this resolution to number and read it for passage.
I'll second that.
Are we still, point of inquiry, are we still in the discussion stage?
Well, we are now. We've got a
Okay.
motion and a second, so now we got into discussion.
All right. Question is, if someone worked during that critical time but then left the city's employment, they aren't eligible to recoup any of that money?
They are not included in this resolution, no, sir.
Okay.
You need to speak up a little bit in the microphone. Couldn't hardly hear you.
Me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. They are not included in the, if they're not still currently an employee, they're not included in this list.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
There's a couple of things I'd like to point out, if I could, Mayor, in the resolution. This is not including any department heads. None of us, the department heads, are included. Neither are any elected officials. So, anyway.
So we're not getting $1.50 up here?
No, Harry, you're not.
Nada.
Sorry.
Nada tostada.
On top of your regular salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll cover that $1.50 and buy you a cup of coffee or something. So.
This, I tried to do my best to get this down to, where everybody could benefit with something to reward them for the work that they did. And this is the best I could come up
It's a
with.
great idea.
All right, get a motion to sign this a number and read for passage.
We got it.
Oh, who would second it? I didn't hear that.
I did.
Harry?
Okay. Yep. I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
0. The resolution number will be 810. A resolution adopting premium pay for certain municipal employees from the American Rescue Plan. Whereas the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, which was signed into law on March 11, 2021, provides fiscal relief funds to state and local governments and other program areas aimed at mitigating the continuing effects of the pandemic. And whereas the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, is intended to provide support to local governments in responding to the impact of COVID-19 and in their efforts to contain COVID-19 out of their communities, residents, and businesses. Whereas the ARPA provides stimulus grant funds permitting cities and towns the option to provide premium pay for eligible employees in order to provide additional support to those who have and will bear the greatest health risks because of their service in critical infrastructure sectors. And whereas the United States Department of Treasury, hereinafter Treasury, has issued guidance and an interim final rule, hereinafter IFR, regarding the use of ARPA funds. And whereas premium pay is defined by the IFR as additional compensation for eligible workers performing essential work during the COVID-19 public health emergency. And whereas the IFR provides that eligible workers are those who have been and continue to be relied on to maintain continuity of operations of essential critical infrastructure sectors, including those who are critical to protecting the health and well-being of their communities. And whereas the Treasury recognized essential critical infrastructure sectors as healthcare, public health and safety, childcare, education, sanitation, transportation, food production, and services, and also permits each city's chief executive to add additional sectors to the list if deemed critical to protect the health and well-being of its residents. And whereas the essential work involves regular in-person interactions or regular physical handling of items that were also handled by others. However, it does not include telework from a household. And whereas if the IFR emphasizes the need for recipients to prioritize premium pay for lower-income workers most impacted by the pandemic. And now therefore be it resolved by the Eureka Springs City Council that, Section 1, the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas hereby appropriates a total amount of $93,000 to provide premium pay to eligible workers who meet the following ARPA eligibility criteria. 1, an eligible worker means workers necessary to maintain the continuity of operations of essential critical infrastructure. 2, including any additional sectors added by the city's chief executive. 3, an eligible worker performing eligible work means regular in-person interaction or regular physical handling of items that were handled by others. Section 2, the city shall provide to each eligible worker who is currently employed by the city on the date of enactment premium pay for eligible work performed in an amount not to exceed $3,500. The amount shall be determined based on eligible hours worked at the rate of $1.50 an hour for up to 40 hours per week, or the regularly scheduled work week for the time period of April 1, 2020 until December 31, 2020. Department heads and elected officials are not eligible for premium pay. Section 3, the city shall pay all applicable employer payroll contributions, including FICA and Medicare, from the rescue grant. As required by law, employees must pay their own taxes and contribution requirements. Section 4, the Eureka Springs City Council adopts, ratifies, and enacts premium pay from Section 603 of the ARPA, Section 5. Nothing in this resolution shall be construed as constituting an employment contract or as altering, modifying, or affecting the at-will employment relationship between the city and any employees of the city of Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Thank you.
Mayor, question? How long will it take these checks to be processed and get out to these employees?
Get the checks out?
Uh-huh. I mean, will they be able to get them in time for Christmas?
Oh, I'm sure
Oh,
we
yeah.
can, yeah. Mr. Clark, can you answer that question?
It will be in the first 2 weeks of December.
I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't
It
hear
will
you.
be in the first 2 weeks of December.
Great, okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, that,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us up to our lottery. Item number 2 for the new business, lottery drawing for the 2022 food trucks. Get a motion to
So moved.
Second.
hold the lottery drawing. We got a motion and a second there. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Draw away.
Anyway, all right.
Of the 4 sectors listed in Ordinance 2249 from 2016, the first 3 groups have only one candidate, so they're definitely ins. Group A, Main Street, from the top of Plainer Hill to the depot. The old Cafe Santa Fe at 179 North Main, most recently Fresh, is the only card in the hat for that one.
Who got that?
It's 179 North Main. It's the land is, the building is being sold by Rob Knapp, but he's the one who filled the application out and had it inspected. Group B is Center Street from where Center meets Spring to German Alley, and there's only one ticket in the hat for that, and that is 64 Center, the parking lot just north of Chelsea's, where there has been a food truck for the last several years. Group C is Kings Highway to Eugenia. It's a very short segment, and 44 Kings Highway, the Log Cabin Motel, is the only ticket in the hat. So we shall have alien grub. The 4th group, D, there are 2 spots and 3 tickets, 3 entrants. So we have the 3 entrants, and we have the proverbial hat. God bless the Blues Festival.
What year?
95. I don't know that all of y'all were alive in 95, but you want to pick one?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
Couldn't we get ping pong balls to do this with?
Sure.
Okey-dokey. And then if one of these 2 is not in operation by May 1, it defaults to this 3rd one.
I got a hold.
Okay?
The crowd goes wild. What do you have?
Hobbies and Homestead, 2400 East Van Buren.
Okay, and so the 3rd is the community center, and all these folks will be contacted tomorrow. And there we have it.
Carmen's is gone?
Well, Carmen was not a winner, and actually, some people have asked me about the possibility of expanding the number of opportunities on that stretch of highway,
Taco truck there.
but that will take an ordinance, and it's not reality right now, so
Okay, I'll shut my mouth.
Yeah, really, that's it.
thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
All right, that concludes the lottery drawing for 2022. Next item under new business is item number 3, resolution for a public hearing to vacate a portion of Paxos Street.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any further Discussion, this is a resolution just setting a public hearing for the consideration of vacating a section of Paxos.
Is there even a path there?
You have a clipped-together packet of everything that's involved.
I know. I don't see a picture, that's all.
Yeah.
But there's not a street there anyway, right now.
No, there's never been.
No thoroughfare, yeah,
Right.
okay.
No, there's not, as far as I know, there's not even a path. Mr. McClung?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we assign this resolution a number and read it for passage to have the public hearing.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and a second to assign a number and read for passage.
Do we have to set the date here, or do you guys set the date, right?
It's in there.
Oh, it is in there? Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
December 13th.
I'm happy.
Excuse me. Mr. Roberts?
In a few minutes.
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes,
Mr. McClung?
Yes?
Ms. Slane?
Yes.
Mr. Ott?
Aye.
6-0. The resolution number will be 811. A resolution to set a public hearing date for consideration of vacating a section of Paxos Street in the Freeman addition, whereas the property owners of lots 1 and 4 in Block 13 and lots 2 and 3 in Block 12 of the Freeman addition have submitted a petition to the City of Eureka Springs to vacate a portion of an unopened street running north and south, and whereas the signed petition was submitted to council in regular session on November 22nd, 2021, along with a copy of the plat showing the streets, alleys, and adjoining lots, and whereas Arkansas Code ACA 1431-302C provides that the city council shall, by resolution, fix a day for the hearing of the petition filed to vacate a street or alley, and whereas the law further directs the city clerk to give notice of the meeting by publication once per week for 2 consecutive weeks in some newspaper published in Carroll County, Arkansas, and having general circulation in the city. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that the petition to vacate the above described section of Paxos is set for hearing on December 13, 2021 at 6 p.m. in the auditorium of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and the city clerk shall give notice of this meeting by publication as set forth by Arkansas Code ACA 14-301-302C.
All right, thank you. All right, that brings us up to our fourth item of new business, is a resolution to partner with the Department of Transportation for a roundabout. Motion to discuss, please.
So moved.
Get a second?
second,
A motion and a second to discuss. Give you some history. Some of y'all were here and some of you haven't been. This has been something that I had been talking with the Department of Transportation about for several years. This came about at one time when they were wanting to put a stoplight up there. And the stoplight was going to run us about $1.5 million to $2 million plus maintenance. And I asked about alternatives, and one of the alternatives was a roundabout. At that time, when I first talked to them, they were looking at, this was a $3 million project, and they were wanting us to pay about $2.8 million. And I said, well, we'll never see that roundabout. Since then, the Highway Department has passed a highway tax bill, and in talking with the chairman, Robert Moore, and also our representative, Philip Taudo, I got to talking to them and said, we couldn't afford the roundabout with that cost. Is there anything we can do? And they said, how much do y'all think you could put in? And I said, I think we could come up with about $250,000 for a $3 million project. This, of course, contrary to what was just said, of course, there is a large hill there, and one of the cost is building the retaining wall there and making it flat. This is being designed by the state of Arkansas highway engineers who have numerous experience with designing roundabouts throughout the state. So I'm sure they're going to take into consideration the drainage and everything else that goes into that consideration for roundabouts. For us, this is about a 7% matching fee. It's a heck of a deal. where we put in the $250,000 for a $3 million project and solves a lot of problems that we have at that intersection. A lot of it, as you well know, during when we have War Eagle and a lot of others, we have to have a policeman out there almost full-time directing traffic. So I think this would take care of that issue and through there. So that, in your packet, you have a drawing that shows the limits of the roundabout and what the proposed roundabouts would look like on there. So I'm open for questions. Mr. McClung?
Looking back towards the, I'm going to call it the north east side of the curve, looking back towards the pool there at the old, my brother Joe's old motel, which people won't know what that is, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I see the pool.
What's the elevation going to be on that? I mean, that's going to be a pretty high wall.
You know, I don't know, but I know the right-of-way that they have right now goes beyond that, and it looks like it's pretty close to where that pool is that they already have.
Well, the right-of-way goes over there,
Yes,
but
but I would imagine, Terry, I haven't seen, the engineers right now are designing it, are in the process, and they are probably going to have, from my understanding, it will be sometime next year when they will have the complete design done, and not, so I don't know whether they have that complete
I have one other question.
drawings done on that yet.
One other question, and that is, if it's, projected at 3 million now, and the design's not going to be ready for a year, and so then, it goes into construction, and you're looking at a year at least for that, possibly, maybe 6 months, but a year, are we going to have to pay an increase, or we?
No, our cost is $250,000.
Ours is fixed.
Ours is fixed.
Okay.
That's the reason for this resolution, is to get this down to the state on there. Mr. Ott?
Mayor, you mentioned War Eagle. Will this also help facilitate the traffic when school lets in and out as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Ms. Green?
I have a couple of questions. If we were to have gotten the stoplight, would they have offered us a deal on that?
I didn't get a deal from that, and there's a maintenance cost on that.
Okay.
We're responsible for maintaining that.
And then the next question, has there been any studies? I mean, I've used them in Fayetteville, and they're confusing to me. I know our residents would get used to them, but is it going to be confusing for our tourists who never use something like this?
Most of our tourists come from cities, Dallas, Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, where there are roundabouts. They even have roundabouts in Bentonville throughout the city. So I don't think that's going to be an issue there.
Yeah. The Don Tyson Expressway has several.
Don, yes.
Yes.
And-
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
We're going to have to move some water lines and sewer lines too?
And that's going to be part of, I think, of our in-kind contributions.
Uh-huh,
So we'll be doing that at our expense, of course.
right.
What's the saying? Yeah, that's going to.
No, but that's included in the 250, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh,
Good luck with
all
that.
right.
Is this going to be like a little bridge, or what is that?
This is where you say such a
No,
deal?
at this
Will it
point,
be like over, I guess what I'm saying is it going to come out over that portion of land? Or is it going to be directly, it will, yeah, it's going to be way bigger, way bigger.
no, it's going to be, the way they've got it designed, at this point, there'll be, yes, there'll be, it won't be a bridge, but it will be access to that motel there. And we're working with, with another group and seeing about trying how we are going to be able to get kids underneath and over to the school with sidewalks and through there. We're talking with one group and possibly building a tunnel underneath there too. They've done tunnels over in Bentonville and Fayetteville, so that's a possibility that somebody can come in and do to provide access. That's still up in the air. So that's always been when they moved the school out there, that created a problem no matter which way you went on getting a sidewalk to the school. You're going to have to cross and figure out how to deal with this. I think coming back here, they're going to offer us some, Morris Highway money with sidewalks in through there. But this is all going to be designed and by the Highway Department. Mr. McClung?
Well, hopefully, we can scab onto some of that infrastructure money that the government's passing out to do any of those extra things that we need to do, like sidewalks, and, and it may have to take a bid for that, I don't know, but regardless, that'll all unfold in time. I'd like to go ahead at this point and make a motion to assign this resolution to number and read it for passage.
I second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
You sure everybody's going to want this?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you sure everybody's going to want this?
Well, I'm sure there's, obviously, Ms. Matsoukas doesn't want it.
Right.
But we know that there's a lot of other people. I've heard nothing but a lot of positive things about it. It's going to solve a lot of problems out there at that
I think if we
intersection.
send to the city, the people of the city, like a letter, like saying, this is how a roundabout works, because nobody's ever been explained that. That's the biggest fear. I've never read a piece of paper that told me how to use one. I just go for it. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
So maybe if we were just to simply send out a flyer explaining that, it would maybe make them like the idea a little bit better.
Butch, will it be leveled?
Well, it won't be completely level. There's going to be drainage on there, but it's not going to be a sloping.
Okay.
The highway department's going to take care and make sure that, the problem with any highways or roads, if it's level and you have icing, you're going to have ice there and rain freezes. So there's going to be a small slope, I'm sure. The highway department will take care of that.
Just not like it is now.
Just not like it is now. Correct. Mr. McClung?
They build all the roads that they're crowned so they drain, but basically the surface where they put that in will be flat. It's not going to be sloped. It's not going to, it's going to be, everything's going to be visible, and it's
not going to be like a NASCAR track. We have to,
Well, actually, I think it'll be safer than what it is right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because right now, it's like a NASCAR track.
yeah, it is.
Right now, it does, yeah. True.
And we've all been stuck there.
Yeah.
I've
Hours.
turned right just so I could go turn around and come back and still save me 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, and that's similar to what a roundabout is on a shortcut.
We keep
Yeah.
the traffic moving, and that's better for all of us. It's
Yeah.
better for people.
look,
being
kids, it's
downtown.
Big Ben.
Mayor, that's a good
Program.
explanation. It's a design shortcut.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Ms. Trott?
Was that me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
I didn't have a one-syllable name, and I still can't hear it.
Mr. McClung?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
6-0. The resolution number will be 812. A resolution expressing the willingness of the City of Eureka Springs to partner with the Arkansas Department of Transportation for the following project: Highways 23 and 62 intersection improvements in Eureka Springs. Whereas the City of Eureka Springs, City, and the Arkansas Department of Transportation Department have identified needs at the intersection of Highway 23, Highway 62, and Jordan Drive. And whereas the City of Eureka Springs is willing to partner with the department to construct a roundabout at this intersection by providing $250,000 toward the construction of the project. And whereas the 2021-2022 statewide transportation improvement program includes funding for these improvements. And whereas the department will handle all phases of the project and provide all additional funding necessary for the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that Section 1, the city will participate in accordance with its designated responsibilities in this project. Section 2, the mayor or designated representative is hereby authorized and directed to execute all appropriate agreements and contracts necessary to expedite implementation of this project. Section 3, the city pledges its full support and hereby requests that the Arkansas Department of Transportation initiate action to implement these improvements.
Point of inquiry,
Yes, sir.
do you have a guesstimate of when they're thinking about the timetable for this starting?
Approximately, it should be completed, from what I understand, in 2024.
Okay.
By the time they get their designs done and estimates, possibly beginning 2023 and then completion 2024.
Okay.
I think what I've seen.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that brings us to agenda settings. Ms. Green?
I'd like to put a discussion of expanding the lottery area for the food trucks.
Okay.
I'll second that.
I have a question. Are you thinking on Highway 62
Yeah,
specifically,
it's
by any chance?
Yes, 62, but maybe all of them. I don't think, at first there was this big,
Well, let's just put it, we
Okay,
have
just
for
all of them.
discussion, expansion of the deals. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, council comments. Mr. McClung, I'll start with your end this time.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Mr. Meyer?
Well, no, happy Thanksgiving, that's all I got to say.
Ms. Slade?
Thank you so much for all your work on that roundabout. I know that that was probably years in the coming, and I would hate to deny any progression going forward, so thank you for doing that. Happy Thanksgiving.
Ms. Green?
happy Thanksgiving, and shop small this weekend, and, go with our local vendors.
Mr. Roberts?
Reminder.
Happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that everyone has a safe and happy holidays with their friends and family and the loved ones they care most about. And lots of hugs are safely shared now that everybody's hopefully vaccinated, and we can move forward.
Mr. Ott?
Definitely, I wanted to mention this, that at this Thanksgiving, it's going to be nice to, if we aren't back to complete normal yet, the light at the end of the tunnel is not a train. It's an actual opening to getting back there. And I appreciate the mayor's hard work and dedication of trying to take care of us health-wise, community-wise. I also want to make mention, as I did last time, that on Friday night, the 3rd of December at 6 p.m. is the Holiday Parade of Lights, sponsored by the Greater Eureka Springs Chamber of Commerce through downtown Eureka Springs. Just like we had the Veterans Parade, this will be a return of one of our traditional parades, and appreciate the Chamber's sponsorship of that. I also want to say that I appreciate the sponsorship by the CAPC of the Santa in the Park operation. It will be the Saturday of the 4th, 11th, and 18th from 12 noon till 2 p.m. And so I would encourage folks to gather up the kids and the grandkids and the neighbors' kids and anybody else you want to, and come down and see old St. Nick in Basin Spring Park. And again, thanks to the CAPC for sponsoring that.
Well, and along with the same lines, I believe we have the Christmas tree lighting ceremony Saturday, the 4th, and we'll officially begin our Christmas. Of course, we'll have it with the parade starting at 6 p.m. on the 3rd, as Mr. Ott mentioned. And then also, this is going to be unusual, but we're going to have on the 4th, we're going to have another Christmas parade. We'll have a Jeep Jam Christmas parade starting at 5 p.m. And it's going to start at the community center and down Spring Street and up Painter Hill. So it appears that we're getting back into our parade mode again, hopefully. And of course, lights are going up all over town, and out the nativity scenes are being shown, and somebody mentioned, I think, the Passion Play. I know their lights are already up. So I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving, and with that, we will take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
It's
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so moved. Thank you.